see if anything may develop beyond what we already know. Maybe somebody comes out with another quote. Maybe somebody realizes they said something that they shouldn't have said. You know, maybe that maybe that does happen. Maybe somebody goes and says, you know what I said right there was kind of stupid. Even if you don't think it's stupid, what I said right there was irresponsible, or what I said right there wasn't completely a statement or a comment with integrity. I probably shouldn't have said that like that. I probably shouldn't have said it at all. So some things I want to see if people are going to do that. So I wait. But in my opinion, or what I've seen, I haven't seen Toto come back and say anything different too much in regard to him basically defending Max Verstappen. What's going on, Mimi? Mimi, why you up here first in the chat? I do need you to get with me direct message somehow, some way. I still have that hat over there waiting to be shipped to you. So just try to get with me. Some way, somehow, direct message. I don't care if you temporarily have to do something, but you should be able to get into the Discord group being that you're a member. So that's probably your easiest way. But I need you to get with me in the Discord, direct message me, give me your address or your shipping address, whatever you want that hat shipped to, so I can get it shipped to you. If not, then hey, it's all good. But let's just talk about this. Toto Wolff defending Max Verstappen's actions. What's going on, Chris? This is something that I drastically looked for video and audio on it. It was not. It was something that was documented by post or written media. I did see what he said, and I'm going to say I disagree with Toto. I agree with Stella, although I feel as if, like many other people, these are things that you all should have been echoing. These are things that you all should have been saying a lot louder before this happened. Okay? This should have been something that was campaigned before this took place again, because this is not our first time seeing Max do this. This is not our first time seeing a driver hindered, a driver losing out, or a driver being impressed upon by Max Verstappen's bull in a China shop ways. This is not our first time. But let's just keep it real. Okay, let's keep it real. At this point in time, is anybody drastically surprised about Toto even saying this? About Toto's stance on this? You shouldn't be, because let me show you something. If you do forget, let me show you something. This was Toto. This was Toto in Abu Dhabi 2021 after his so-called close friend in Lewis Hamilton, the driver who has brought them upteenth amount of championships, the driver who is partly, if not largely, responsible for the success of Mercedes, the driver who I believe we all look at as probably the most integrity on the grid, the driver who is involved in more things that lend toward diversity and inclusion in Formula One and probably the world and anything else he touches. This is what Toto Wolff was doing after Lewis Hamilton was robbed, was wronged, was cheated, scandaled upon, bullied off track. This is what he was doing post that situation happening. So I ask yourself, I ask you, and you should ask yourself, should we be surprised? No, because it started here. And since then, it's gotten worse. What do I mean when I say worse? Toto Wolff has also said here, and he's campaigned for Max Verstappen. He's campaigned for Max Verstappen to be a driver at Mercedes. Even after Max Verstappen's comments about Lewis, don't think that I didn't catch the sly comment Max Verstappen when he called Lewis Hamilton a weakling. Let's not forget about that. Let's not forget that his father-in-law and Nelson Piquet Sr. not only used homophobic slurs towards Lewis Hamilton, but he used racial slurs towards Lewis Hamilton. This is that guy, the same guy related to that guy. This is the same guy. And this is who Toto Wolff thought that it is okay to campaign in the midst of this driver who I said I have so much respect for still currently being at Mercedes. This is Toto Wolff. I understand that at one point of time, Toto Wolff looked at differently by you all and myself. But the true colors of an individual will come out when things get hard. I've even found that out in myself. I've found that out myself with people that I've dealt with, which is why you don't see me dealing with many people. When you have a disagreement with somebody, you can see their true colors or their true care for your relationship on how they deal with that disagreement. You'll find out either they really were with you or they really weren't with you, and it was only circumstantial why they were dealing with you, as long as it was going to be a means to an end to them to come up. But when you got a disagreement or you have a falling out, how those two people come back together or not tells you a lot about the relationship. I think now you all can see what this will tell you about the relationship. Now, we saw how Lewis handled, I'm going to leave Mercedes and I'm going to Ferrari. If Lewis had not a care in the world about how he and Toto's relationship would be after this, he would have dropped it on them at the most inopportune time for the team and the best opportune time for himself. But what Lewis did was give the team, give Toto notice personally, then give the team notice so that they could go ahead and utilize my services still in this season while you haven't built a good car. I'm going to drive for you. And while I'm driving for you, you will have time to find yourself another driver a whole season to then find my replacement so that you're not in a bad situation. During that time, what does Toto Wolff do? Toto Wolff goes out here and he offers Max Verstappen a contract in which was not approved to be offered to Lewis Hamilton. So you could get approval for a contract to that magnitude for Max Verstappen, who has not bought you a damn thing, only took something from you, and Lewis Hamilton, by the way, because you got your Constructor Championship. But you didn't or were unable to meet terms with Lewis Hamilton so that he could retire undisturbed a Mercedes driver while he gave you 3 seasons in that shit box car that you developed? This is that guy. So big shout out to Denny F.I.A. Gurley. I reached out to her this morning because before coming on, sometimes I sit on things like this. Sometimes I don't need to talk about certain things right off. Like I'll let other people, like other platforms go out there, they run off on it. Some things I'll sit back and I just look, especially when it got a lot to do with character and personality. I'll sit back and I'll look at that. But man, I will say this. Some people that people think are close and friend and boys to me are not. And some people need to consider why you haven't seen me do anything with certain people in some time, that's because I'm a real ass person and I don't do well with fake ass people. So if you haven't seen me do anything, collaborate content wise with certain people in a while, that is probably why. Big shout out to my boy Thanos. Big shout out, um, big shout out to Denny. Big shout out to, plenty of other people. Big shout out to, them people out there. There's people I still mess with, but this is part why, the whole Toto thing. Think about that. Lewis is probably a little bit disturbed by the way Toto's been carrying himself. But like I was saying, big shout out to FIA girl. I reached out to her this morning because I wanted to utilize one of her posts. Because I could have used a bunch of other posts, but FIA girl, she be doing her thing. She be in her bag. I support her content. I support her as a Black woman in the space. And she real about that. So I want to use her post because, that's who I got a relationship with. That's who I got a relationship with. So we're going to use two posts. We're going to use the first post we're going to talk about right here is one that you already saw. Because this is what Toto Wolff is responding to. All right. And Toto Wolff is responding to Stella's comment here. The problem is that if you don't address these things honestly, they will come back. They have come back today because they were not addressed properly in the past where there were fights with Lewis that needed to be punished in a harsher way. Complete facts. This is complete facts. And I think a lot of us talked about this when these situations were happening. A lot of us talked about this post the whole situation in Abu Dhabi. A lot of people out there tried to cry that you all were Cry Hamilton fans and you all were over the top and that you were just hated that Max. Listen, I'm not going to say anybody. I'm going to say me. I don't hate Max. I hate his character. I hate his personality. I think there are some decent attributes about Max that gleam through here and there, but overall, Max's character and personality is shit to me. I don't hate him. He ain't personally attacked me or done nothing, but I'm not going to speak glowingly about Max when it comes to character because he don't have that. It's some people out there that will speak glowingly about Max and they'll boost Max up. If you want to talk about Max's driving ability, hey, I feel you. 100% dude can drive. You want to talk about Max being the greatest? You're dead ass wrong. He's not the greatest, and that is just not true. It's not true. But Stella is absolutely correct. We've watched even this season, last season, they've made Max rules. The FIA have made rules or changes in the format of weekend racing to facilitate Max's BS. Max damn near hit a cameraman. He damn near hit a cameraman acting a fool in pit lane exit. Do we not recall this? And then they realized, well, maybe we should have not changed the rule. Well, you shouldn't have changed anything on just based on what one person needs to do. We watched Max in Singapore sit there and obstruct pit lane. We watched Max in Mexico sit there and obstruct pit lane for his own gain. So then what did they go and do? They changed the rule for somebody who was obstructing everybody else to be able to go around everybody else when he didn't want to be obstructed. What kind of sense does that make? So the person that caused the obstruction multiple times, we then change a rule in case he's obstructed, he can avoid that. And then after you change the rule, you realize that your bull in a china shop didn't know how to really act when he got the free liberty to do whatever he wanted to do. He was very irresponsible. He almost hit a cameraman. Cameraman damn near felt like he had to dodge Max in pit lane exit. We saw him really irresponsibly in wet conditions go around other cars in the grass. This is Max Verstappen, and this is why Stella said and why many of us, you said it too. Max Verstappen needs to be checked. A lot of us said it. And so when Stella says what he says here, he's absolutely correct. He's absolutely correct in what he says here. But what Toto says in response to somebody asking him about what Stella said, to me is too damn comedy. Too damn comedy. So here it is. FIA Girly, check her out if you're on Twitter. Check our podcast out. She will be a guest back on this show. 100% legit with all of her shit. Okay? Goes through a lot of scrutiny being a female in the space. And let me tell you, she's holding strong and doing good. So right here, quote from Toto Wolff. I don't think you can take this conclusion. It's been so long, and from our side, we are in different places today. And I don't think he is. It takes two to tango. I haven't seen Lando and Max race, to be honest. I haven't seen how all of that came about. I first need to watch it before I have an opinion, but I wouldn't see that as a big consequence of 2021 not having been managed well to what happened in 2024. People. Now, Toto did get asked about this from Ted Kravitz at Ted's Notebook, all right? He got asked about this, okay? He got asked about this. After Ted with all the champagne and Russell offering Ted his damn shower, which Ted was like, bro, I don't go that. I ain't swinging that way. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to use your shower. I got my own shower. Toto did say then he didn't make that full extent of a comment. Okay, so this was called probably post that written after everything else. But I'm going to address what Ted asked him and what I feel like Toto could have said then, okay? While he was sitting here with Ted, I'm going to give my opinion on that. Toto, even if you didn't want to comment on maybe what you didn't get to completely see in this moment, because you've seen it plenty of other times, Ted asked you about what Stella said in regards to this not being checked, the actions of Max Verstappen not being corrected, the actions of Max Verstappen not being penalized to the point where it would seem like a penalty. You could have at least said, I haven't seen completely what happened today to give you my opinion on that between Max and Lando. But I can say this. What I witnessed and saw and had to deal with in regards to Max Verstappen running our driver at Mercedes off Lewis Hamilton track several times, in regards to the integrity and character and the statements even made by Christian Horner, the situation of them having a racist employee put out so many disgusting things in regards to Lewis Hamilton, I can say undoubtedly, yes, those actions should have been penalized harsher. These things should have been corrected, and maybe we wouldn't be sitting here dealing with comments like Stella made today. But in regards to the fight of Max and Lando, I'm going to get back to you on that. That's what you should have said. That is what you should have said. That is what you could have said. That would have been the right thing to say. But instead, Toto, you wrote it off, and then you come back with these shenanigans. It's not a consequence to what happened in 2021. Yeah, it is. It's not a correlation. Yeah, it is. What are these people talking about? What are these people talking about? This is absolutely ridiculous. We got Alex Brundle with his clown ass up there on the damn broadcast talking about it's not Max that needs to be penalized, but the consequences that were penalized. Max didn't see Lando. Wrong. Wrong. We got Christian Horner, no doubtably. We know he going to put his tap dancing shoes on for Max. No responsibility held whatsoever. I got parents that I had to deal with this weekend because they do the same thing with their son driving. No responsibility for him but point the fingers at everybody else. We got Christian Horner, who is also part and a culprit in this party to no doubt. I mean, Christian Horner protects Max to a fault. Now, I'm going to say something. If that's the guy you want in your corner, hey, good dude to have in your corner. But what's going to happen when things ain't so right? You're going to see this Toto action. When I'm telling you, we got Jolie and Palmer. Now he got a little bit different tune in his song. But at first, Max is just a hard driver driving. And here we are, Toto Wolff taking the bat for Max. It's disrespectful. It really is disrespectful. It's disrespectful in a way that I don't believe the relationship, the relationship between Toto and Lewis will be fractured for some time, and I'm not saying it won't ever be repaired with a conversation maybe between these two, depending on the depth of which this fracture goes into their relationship. But I will say it's not going well. It's not going well. It's not going to go over well with Lewis. None of this stuff is going over well with Lewis. He just compartmentalizes it and deals with it way better than most drivers. And then to hear Jolie and Palmer criticize Lewis because he has a moment where, you know what, I don't want to deal with it in the most political way. I'm going to tell you how I feel today. And I feel like it's shit. Then they want to criticize. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that. I can't believe Lewis, he doesn't typically do that. I can't believe he said that. A little bit lesser of himself. I'm trying to tell you. This is what these people do. I mean, the man holds such character integrity that every now and then when he just feels like, this is just, y'all are really trying me, and speaks out, it's like, oh my gosh, Lewis, you can't do that. But see, that's the double standard. This is the double standard that he's going to deal with, right? No driver on the grid, even prior to Lewis, in Formula One, I'm not counting the big bro, Willie T. Ribbs, not counting him. Matter of fact, I spoke to him a few days ago. I'm not counting that. He went through a lot. But no driver in Formula One has gone through what Lewis Hamilton has had to go through in their career and be as great as he is. Nobody. Show me another driver that had to witness fans mocking him and his family in blackface at OJP. Show me another driver where that happened in security and people who should be in place to keep things like that from happening laughed and thought it was funny. Show me another driver that had to deal with that. Show me another driver that had to deal with the scrutiny of so-called piercings, which have never caused a safety issue in Formula One, and jewelry while other drivers wear wedding bands every week because they just want to make a point of trying to poke the finger at Lewis Hamilton. Show me another driver where an ex-driver comes out, uses the word nigger, and then uses homophobic slurs to describe this driver. Show me another driver that went through that. I can keep going. The list of disrespectful, the list of racist events, the list of people just straight out trying to destroy this man throughout his entire career, even as a kid, called the N-word even as a kid, and still stand up and have the level of integrity and the ability to deal with the media, deal with fans, deal with things off the track, deal with making business deals, and still keep this integrity intact. Show me them. Max Verstappen hasn't went through a percentage of that whatsoever, and he can't do it. Carlos can't even do it with going through simple competitive situations with his teammate. Albon has had his moments. He can't even do it. Every now he break loose in some of the more milder situations. Racer X210. If Max joins Mercedes and gets cheated out of F1 championship, I don't want to see Toto run the screen at the FIA. Keep the same energy, Toto. I agree. So when Jolyon Palmer criticizes Lewis Hamilton for having a moment that is not even way abrupt, it's crazy. When I see reports saying that the true colors come out of Lewis after Russell wins, that's crazy. Let me tell you what's coming out of Lewis. Frustration. I've been with this team for over a decade. I've been here. And you know what? Russell, can I show y'all something? Let me show you something. Why they want to sit here and talk about. Big shout out again to my girl, FIA Girly. I'm gonna show you something. Because while they talking about this pace, Mercedes with their best driver was down 15 seconds. 15 seconds. I'm going to say it again because I will also say this. I'm going to tell you this. Is being behind 15 seconds plus, is that good pace? Anybody want to answer that in the comment section? Is that good pace? If another driver is 15 seconds behind you, do you think that that's good? You think that's a good thing? No, it's not a good thing. So with Mercedes talking about this pace that they on, several tenths of seconds behind every lap, which adds up and accumulates to what you see right there. By the way, Lewis Hamilton suffering from a broken car and the penalty, which was on him. That penalty was on Lewis. He wear that. But the car being damaged, that's something that kept him from being closer up in this race, and even still, he's still sixth. Russell doesn't get this win, and I'm glad Oscar Piastri, my dog, another driver that I'm rooting for, especially a young driver up and coming. Because listen, let me tell you something. If you haven't found yourself a new up and coming driver to root for, you're doing yourself a disservice, okay? Because there are some nice up and coming drivers. But free Felipe Drugovich too, Aston Martin. But 15 seconds is not showing us anything. It's not showing us that Mercedes is all of a sudden about to just abruptly run through the field. Now, I will say, yeah, they got some pace that has been improved from the beginning of the season till now. But qualifying looks good in certain circuits, but we still waiting to see if this is going to be a consistent thing. McLaren has shown us that they have arrived. Ferrari is showing us that they're going to fall off and dive. Mercedes is trying to show us whether we going to expect to see a competitive season from them next season. They not in the foe of the top three consistently. They not there. Now, I'm not saying they can't get there if by the end of the season, by Silverstone, let's say we go into Silverstone and Mercedes come away with a 1-2 podium. There's going to have to start being some talk of, is this real? And if we see it another race, well, they don't have the double podium. They might have another car on podium, whether it's Lewis or Russell. And then the other driver right behind them are a couple of spots. Okay, now we may be starting to cook. Now Mercedes might be starting to really come alive. Now, what are they going to do the following season? Because I can't give you full credit for this season to dispel everything that you done, which was horrible. I'm going to have to see another season, and then I'm going to have to see 2026 and say, Mercedes might be back. We're going to have to see more wins. We're going to have to see a 50%. Now, 50% is failing by anybody's metrics of taking a test. But if 50% of the season, you could end up on podium. That's saying something. Then they might be back. But as of right now, you just picking up the pieces due to a failed race. It happens in racing, and ain't nobody taking that away from you, because the thing about the best ability is availability. Russell made himself available. Russell was on the drive. Russell had to do what he did in order for a situation like this to take place and for him to take advantage of that situation. But this is not purely on merit. Russell was 15 seconds behind. He wasn't never going to win this race without this happening. And I'm going to tell you something else. Oscar Piastri, I'm not too sure about his tire situation, but Oscar Piastri probably would have ran Russell ass down. So just putting that out there. But yeah, don't be surprised about these things. These people are protecting Max, and you can clearly see it. It's not even refreshing. It's a bit more on the upside to start seeing and hearing people voice these concerns about Max Verstappen and Red Bull, because they should. They absolutely should. And they should have been. And don't be disturbed anymore about Toto Wolff and the things that he is saying and what he is doing and how we now look at Toto as a snake. Because that's what he's looking like. He's looking like a snake. There is business, but the way Toto is handling business and who he's handling business with does say something about his character and his personality. Just keeping it a buck. Just keeping it strictly a buck. Says something about his personality. When you have a situation with somebody, you know what, we might not agree, but bro, I'm going to reach out to you and try to find out, like, hey, what's up? You know, if I did something wrong by you, let's talk about it. But I'm going to say something. When people say things behind your back, can't even talk in your face, says something about you. When you see Toto Wolff do things like he's doing right now, says something about him. When somebody all of a sudden, just for a little spat, they go ahead and they just drop you out, says something about them. If you reach out to somebody and they don't never reach back to you and say nothing but try to act like everything cool, say something about them. This is Toto Wolff. This is how people are. So I'm just telling you, just watch your circle. Watch the people that you call close friends. Watch the people that you're willing to speak up for. When somebody could out you on a lot of stuff, when somebody could really out you on a lot of stuff that you done said behind closed doors, but they don't really out you, said something about them like, yo, even while me and dude ain't on good terms, even while I might have really did wrong by him on the back end and he ain't really put some shit out there on me, you know what I'm saying? When you fall out with somebody and they just automatically go block you, said something about them, especially if it ain't been that, said something about them. So just look for that too. Look for that. Might happen with Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton when he go to Ferrari. He might do something like that. Because what he doing right now doesn't give me confidence that he wouldn't do anything like that. You don't go and offer a driver who has been at the spearhead and disrespecting your driver on so many levels, your friend. You said Lewis Hamilton and you are friends. You don't then go in a season at least while Lewis is still in Mercedes colors, offer Max Verstappen. You don't, especially, come on, bro. You know, well, you know what? If you consider the percentage and you don't do it, it's still, you only doing it based on consequence. I need to know you doing it because full face value, you really got my back. You really my dog. You really with me out here like that. Facts. Judas the betrayal. And it's more than just Toto. Y'all got to watch out for these people, man. Y'all got to watch out for these people. Straight up like that. So we're going to see what happens. I think it's going to be really telling to see what happens when Lewis is completely out of Mercedes, when Lewis is in Ferrari colors. I'm not I'm not overly confident about Ferrari right now. I feel as if Ferrari just seemed they got something there, but they just dropped the ball too much. And with all the impact that Lewis can have, I don't know how much of Lewis can change an entire culture of a team in just a season. I do feel confident that if Adrian Newey, reported, not official, is actually going to come into Ferrari with Lewis Hamilton, that's a lot of firepower where things should be on the up. But please keep in mind, all of that can still be derailed by the culture of a team not really wanting to change itself. They can still limit Adrian Newey by overturn, just like the House and the president. Okay. Look at what we got going on right now. How is it that Trump and these people are going to put up for a bill basically for the president to have immunity in any given decision or situation and consequence to not be penalized for it? It's dangerous. It's basically setting the stage for him to do whatever he want to do, for them to do whatever they want to do and get away with it, to screw the country, to screw people, to screw a culture of people and get away with it. And if you see our United States government go along with that, it should tell you that alarm bells should start to ring. If think about it, it's already alarming. McLaren allowed somebody who is under investigation, somebody who is in criminal trials for things that they actually did. It's not like you can't see any of this stuff that Trump's done is not proven. Trump has actually done these things. He's actually discriminated against black people. He's actually made sexual comments about his daughter. He's actually done all that. And the government, like the FIA, have let a lot of this slide. How is he even a presidential candidate? How is he even allowed to put something up like this? He shouldn't be allowed to do any of that, bro. You're in a criminal investigation where there's a lot of evidence stacked against you. We're not going to let you run for president right now. What is it? What do we look like letting you run for president? You can run for president when you get free and clear of this. FIA, you let Max get away with this. You let Christian Horner get away with this. You let Red Bull get away with this. You change rules so Red Bull can just walk in the street scot-free. And now here we are. This is what happens when things go unchecked, and that's why I agree with what Stella said, and I'm completely against what Toto said. There is consequence here, and if Toto can't even admit that, tells you more about him as a person. He didn't care. He really didn't care. He might have cared for business. He might have said what he said to Lewis to do good business. He might have said what he needed to say every now and then in public and to media to do good business, but he ain't never did it because he was a good person. This just might be the truth. So no, I'm not surprised at all. I would have liked to visually and audibly see him say this. But I'm also going to tell you this. If you all can go back in the post press conference with Oscar Piastri, all right, if you go back and listen, because see, this is what's funny to me. When people say and do things when they don't think certain things are around them, remember what Max said. Max said in regards to he and Lando's relationship, he going to let things breathe. He's not going to go in it. He was talking to Lawrence Barretto. Big shout out to Lawrence. Cool dude. Met him. Got to take a picture with him. He seems straight as hell. I would like to do something else with Lawrence, but I mean, bro too big. He probably on his own time. But he said, I got to go back and watch it. You don't want to say anything right now. Everything's heated up, and it's best to let things calm down. But if you go back and listen to Oscar Piastri's post-conference, when they all in the tent, they all come and they get different media to ask some questions post-race, listen to Oscar, but I want you to listen. You're going to hear Max in the background commenting about the Lando situation, and you listen and tell me if it don't more sound like Max blaming Lando and not taking any responsibility for himself. Go back, Oscar Piastri's press conference, but I want you to listen to Max Verstappen in the background talking to somebody, to what he's saying about Lando in that situation. Go back and listen. Max. I don't want to hear anybody else talk about, oh, well, Max's upbringing was crap, right? That's what you say. Josh ain't the best dad. Okay, that's what you say. Max a grown man now. As a kid, I didn't have a father in my household. Matter of fact, my father decided he gonna go live his life. Not even my father, he a sperm donor. He ain't never fathered shit around this way. My dad that I have now in my life is God-given, and I'm glad God put him in my life. My actual biological sperm donor never did shit for me but pay child support and leave me hanging when I'm supposed to go spend the summer with him. He has not been a father to anybody, and I'm supposedly his only son. He been derelict out there doing his life, and it's not like he bad off. So am I supposed to blame him if I then turn around and am not a father to my kids? Am I supposed to blame him? Or as a grown man growing up, do I say and self-reflect and say, you know what? It felt like crap being a kid at games and playing football and doing all types of other things and look in the stand or after the game and see parents come hug their kids and go do things. And me, I'm gravitating and I'm being raised in the street, or my grandparents. Hey, big salute to my grandparents. Big salute to them. Big salute to my mom, who's a single parent. But still, you looking and you finding people in the street, gang infested, drug infested. You trying to find your way. Every now and then you got a mentor. My uncle, big shout out to him, but was murdered when I was 10. Big shout out to my other uncle who was there to get me in the cars. So am I supposed to turn around and say, hey, man, you know, because my biological father wasn't there, that's why I'm not there for these kids. That's why I can't be no father. Max is a grown man. If Max is choosing to be the person he is, it's because he the person he is, and that's who he's choosing to be. Because you can completely choose to be somebody different. You know right from wrong. You know what feels right and feels wrong. That didn't feel right to me, so why I want to do it to my kid? Why I want to do that? Why do I want another generation to feel like I felt going through what I went through? Max know the difference between right and wrong, so I don't want to hear any more crap about blaming his upbringing to the point that we not going to put any fault on Max for his decisions and his choices. He's a grown man. These are grown men doing what they want to do, and they're showing you who they are. But anyway, y'all go do y'all thing. When top of the morning, big shout out to y'all for tuning in. You know, we got Silverstone coming up. I think it's going to be a GP that might bring us some fireworks, just as America is about to be on their Independence Day. Not completely. Everybody else's Independence Day, because while they was independence, my people were still chained up and enslaved. So, that would have been Juneteenth. We'll celebrate to that. But still, as somebody who served and protected this country in the United States of America for the great United States Navy, hoorah, I still have some bit of appreciation for bits and pieces of my fellow military brothers and sisters who have served to protect this country and its independence and foreign and domestic terrorists, especially domestic. But I ain't going to get into that. All right, so big shout out to you all. Max, a grown man. Toto, you coming off like a snake. Christian Horner, you been doing what you've been doing. Lewis Hamilton, hold your head up. Make sure you drive better next race so you don't penalize yourself. And Ocon, we're going to talk about him later. All right, guess what? Wolfpack out. Peace.